Hello everyone. My name is Zainab Kalabani, and I want to talk to you about the most exciting religion in the world. But first, let me tell you my story. I am 24 years old and I stay in Houston, Texas, one of the largest cities in the United States. I have a master's degree in biochemistry and I am single. I was actually born and brought up in Jordan, a small Arab country near Israel and Saudi Arabia, and my family moved to America in 2007 when I was just a teenager. People ask me what life was like in an Arab country, and I have mixed feelings. Jordan is a very beautiful country, and I miss my friends and family there. But Jordan is also a very bad place for women. So I am so happy to be in America now. I was born in the city of Ahava, one of the largest ports of the Middle East and not far from the Suez Canal. My father, Ayman Kalabani, was an engineer in the port of Aqaba, and he managed the cranes, pumps, and other machines in the ports. Aqaba is also a historic city and has many ancient monuments. My earliest memory of life in Jordan is going to the girls' school in Aqaba, where we used to play on the school ground during lunch break and in the evening. My father studied at the College of Engineering in Amman, the capital city of Jordan, and at that time it was rare to find mechanical engineers in Jordan. So he was lucky to get a good job in the Aqaba port. My father was a very good man. He was not rich, but he was always kind to everyone. He helped all our relatives and friends who did not have money, and he used to send money to the girls' orphanage in the small town of Madaba, which was his hometown. I think life was very good for our family in Jordan when I was a small girl. I think life changed for us in Jordan after the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center in America in September 2001. That's when we noticed that many people in Jordan became angry with America and the West, and they became very conservative in their religious views. Jordan has always been a moderate Islamic country. We had Sharia law, but people were free to convert from Islam to Christianity, and even minorities like Druze and Shias were allowed to live freely. My father was religious and used to pray 5 times a day, and he used to go to the mosque every Friday. But my father was not an extremist, and he did not follow some of the more conservative practices in Islam. For example, my father was clean-shaven and did not have a beard. He did not want my mother Rima to wear a hijab, and he did not want to go to Mecca for Hajj. My father believed that you have to be a good man first before you can understand God. So he was opposed to some of the more hateful teachings of Islam. But all that changed after September 2001, when Jordan became more conservative. Moderates like my father were considered bad people. At first, it was the preacher in the mosque who tried to advise my father to grow a beard and became angry when my father refused. Many of my father's best friends, including our neighbor Rizwan uncle, also began to argue with my father for not being a true Muslim. Soon, many people in Ahava began to say bad things about my father. I remember that for my 12th birthday, we invited many of my friends to my home for dinner, like we did every year. But that year, only 3 of my friends came for my birthday. Even my friend Aisha, who was Rizwan uncle's daughter, did not come for my birthday. I was very sad and cried that night. I asked my father why my friends did not come for my birthday. I was always nice to them, so why didn't they like me? My father hugged me and wiped my tears, but he did not say anything. I could see that he was also very worried. Things got really bad for us when I was 14 years old. The boys in the neighborhood would call me bad names when I walked to school. They said I was a prostitute because I was not wearing the hijab and said I would burn in hell after I die. I did not even know what prostitute meant until I asked my aunt Fehmina. I complained to my mother, who told my father, and my father got very angry. He went to the home of Safwan, one of the kids, to argue with Safwan's father. Later, I heard from my mother that Safwan's father and uncles shouted at my father for not being a true Muslim and for letting me dress up like a bad person. My father came back home very angry that day, and he went to his room and closed the door. I was very worried and did not know what happened. Next day, my mother told me that it was wrong for people to force women to wear the hijab, but there were many bad people in Jordan, so it would be safer for me to wear the hijab. So, I started wearing the hijab in 2005. So that's when I realized for the first time that life in Jordan can have an ugly side. I think the situation became much worse for my family after the Lebanon war in 2006. That year, many Jordanians had converted from Sunni to Shia, and the government had tightened Sharia laws in Jordan. So it was becoming very difficult for people like my family and other moderate Muslims in Jordan. The mullah at the mosque was very angry with my father, and they had a lot of arguments. So my father had stopped going to the mosque. My father also faced a lot of problems at work, and his bosses were always scolding him. My father wanted to leave the Ahava port, but the Jordanian economy was not good, and it was not easy to get a job, so he had to continue. One Friday night, when we all had gone to sleep, some people came near our home, shouted at my father, and threw stones at our home. My father complained to the police, but they scolded my father for arguing with the people at the mosque. The police did not even register his complaint. We were getting very worried and did not know what to do. My father's relatives had stopped talking to us. They were always scolding my father for not going to the mosque, and they wanted my mother to apologize to the mullah at the mosque. I think 2007 was the year when things really went bad to worse for us. I was in my high school and was trying hard to study for my school exams. My father had an argument with some co-workers at his office, and they beat him up. But instead of arresting the culprits, the police arrested my father for unruly conduct. My mother and I knew that my father was innocent and he would never fight with anyone. But the police only listened to the bad people who attacked my father. The police released my father the next day, but his company dismissed him from his job. My father was very sad and angry. We didn't have enough money at home after father lost his job. My parents were very worried, and many days when I come home from school, I would see my father and mother crying. But it was on July 16, 2007, that our life changed completely. My father had gone out to meet some friends in the evening. When he was walking back home, someone came from behind him and beat him on the head with a big stick. Someone took him to the Ahava hospital, and he was in the ICU for 12 days. He was in a coma, and the doctors were not sure if he would survive. My mother had to plead with her brother in Amman to come to Ahava and pay the hospital bill. At last, my father recovered, and he could come home from the hospital. But he was very weak, and he continues to have severe headaches to this day. I couldn't go to school for 2 weeks, so I did poorly in my school exams. That's when my family decided that we could not stay in Jordan anymore. My father's old friend Abdel had moved to America and was working with a shipping company in Houston. Abdel's uncle helped my father get a job in Houston, Texas, and we moved to America in 2007. Life in America was strange initially, but I have adjusted well to America, and I love my life here. We stayed in an apartment in Houston, and my father got a job as an engineer with a refinery in Pasadena, which is a suburb of Houston. I did very well in high school, so I was able to get admission for a bachelor's degree in chemistry at the University of Texas at Austin. I then went for my master's degree in biochemistry at the University of Arizona in Tucson. I've now spent 8 years in America, and we are U.S. citizens now. I am slightly confused whether I am really Jordanian or American. It is like my head likes America, but my heart is still Jordanian. I've changed a lot since coming to America. While I was in Jordan, I always had to be careful and restrained. While in Jordan, I could not behave as I wanted. I could not speak as I wanted and could not dress how I wanted. Jordan is a completely male-dominated society where women have very little freedom. We were expected to quietly obey our fathers and husbands. But in America, women have so much more freedom. No one cares what I say or what I dress or what I do. Earlier, I was very shy and timid, but I think I have become much more confident and assertive after coming to America. I took up archery while in high school and competed at the university level in archery, which I could not have been able to do in Jordan. During my master's degree, I helped my professor with research, and my name was listed as co-author for an article on the molecular biology of immune cells called neutrophils. I can't imagine any woman in Jordan doing such research. In fact, there are very few women in Jordan who have a master's degree in biochemistry. So America has given me so much opportunities that my friends in Jordan do not have. One of the things where I have changed a lot after coming to America is my religion. I was quite religious while in Jordan and used to pray 5 times a day and read the Quran like all others in Jordan. I learned from my father that Allah is merciful and kind, and that we should be grateful to Allah for all the gifts He gives us. But I also learned from my father that some of the things in Islam should not be taken literally. I was shocked when I read the Quran and couldn't believe that the Quran contained many bad verses. For example, I found that Quran 5:51 says Muslims should not be friendly with Jews and Christians. 2:191 says non-believers should be killed. 4:15 says women who commit adultery should be killed. 4:34 says husbands should beat their disobedient wives. 2:282 says 1 male witness is equal to 2 female witnesses. 4:89 says those who live Islam should be killed. I knew that Prophet Muhammad married a 9-year-old girl, which I found shocking. And the list goes on and on. I began to realize that the Quran is evil and opposed to common sense and could not be the work of a merciful God. The Quran must have been created by illiterate barbarians in the Arabian desert who copied a lot of it from the Christian Bible. My belief that Islam is a cruel and violent religion becomes even stronger when I see the disgusting acts that Daesh or ISIS does in Syria and Iraq. It is absurd to say that Islam is a religion of peace when followers of Islam commit so many acts of terrorism. Islam cannot be a noble religion when it causes people to fly planes into buildings. And the Quran cannot be the word of God when it inspires people to commit suicide bombing attacks. So I have told you how my life changed after coming to America and how I gave up my Muslim religion. But at the beginning of this video, I said I would talk to you about my exciting new religion. Can you guess what is my new religion? Let me tell you that it is the world's fastest growing religion, and it has more than 1 billion followers around the world. It is called Dinkoism and worships Lord Dinkan, the creator of this universe, who took the form of a mouse 65 million years ago to save life on Earth. Dinkoism first developed in India, in a state called Kerala, which is called God's own country. Dinkan has magical powers. He can create or destroy the world. He can punish bad people. He can reward good people. Dinkoism is the only religion which gives special powers to women. Women are considered holy in Dinkoism, and women can be priests or even popes within Dinkoism. In fact, more women join Dinkoism each year than all other religions combined. When I first heard of Dinkoism, I thought it must be a joke, like a parody religion. But after learning more, I now think Dinkoism is the one true religion. I think all other religions are actually parodies of Dinkoism. Once I explained Dinkoism to a friend in Amman in Jordan, and she told me that the Dinkan story is absurd. I told her that if she can believe that Allah created man by breathing into clay, or that the Prophet Muhammad flew up into the skies on the horse Buraq, why can't I believe that Dinkan took the form of a mouse? If she can accept that other Islam men can have 4 wives and keep any number of women slaves, why can't I pray to Dinkan, who treats women as religiously superior to men? If she can accept that Allah made shooting stars as missiles for devils, why can't I accept that Dinkan took the form of a mouse 65 million years ago? If she can accept that Allah gives men rivers of wine and 72 virgin females in heaven, why can't I accept that Dinkoist women get 72 virgin men in heaven? If she can accept that the Quran says Muhammad is the last prophet and the Quran was written by Muhammad, which is certainly very convenient for Muhammad, why can't I accept that Dinkoism's holy book, Dinka Puranam, says Kanan Atingal is a prophet and Dinkan Puranam was written by the same Kanan Atingal, which is certainly very convenient for Kanan Atingal? And I can go on and on. But my point is that Dinkoism is the most exciting, fastest growing, most reasonable, and most woman-friendly religion in this universe. I welcome all of you to accept Dinkoism as the one true religion, and accept Dinkan as the one true God that is merciful. May Dinkan bless you and give you health, wealth, and wisdom. Masha Dinka.